Hello and welcome to this episode of the Wine Down ReWine. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us this week as we will be talking about Tammy, this week's episode is just full of problematic people. There's no way around it. We can start with the story that we talked about on the last episode. Sharon Osbourne, it's official. She is going to be leaving the talk, and CBS is going to pay her $5 to $10 million to shut up and go. So, are you going to miss her? I know The Talk was one of your favorite shows.
Yes, it was. I'm crying on the inside right now over the lack of her presence on this show that I loved and couldn't miss. No. And I think that they paid good money to get rid of her. I don't think that is too much to get rid of her, because at the end of the day, it's not like they could tell her to go and not give her a dime. They had to give her something. So 5 or 10 million, that's a drop in the bucket for CBS, compared to how much ABC had to pay when they were getting rid of Megyn Kelly. I'm sure CBS is like, 5-10 million, here you go, Liz. Bye. Go back across the pond. You good?
It's a tax write-off where they could just write it off.
Yeah, like it's a shrug of the shoulders kind of money, you know?
Like if we, and I'm not like I said before when we were talking about it, I'm not a fan of The Talk. I'm not a fan of Sharon Osbourne. It's just amazing how long she was able to get away with this behavior. And it seems like they're paying her. I understand it on a business level. I understand it, but it just seems like they're paying her for her bad behavior. I don't know. But like you said, I guess it is just a drop in the bucket for them. And in another story, problematic, I guess we're going to start this one off. Leading off our problematic people is Florida Representative Matt Gaetz. I call him the creepy Eddie Munster. He does look like a creepy, sweaty version of Eddie Munster from the Munsters. No offense to Eddie Munster, But he is being accused of sex trafficking a minor, prostitution, illegal drug use. I don't know if the illegal drug use is in conjunction with the prostitution charges. Identity theft has brought its way up into all of this. It's just a really, really bad case. But the minor in question is she was 17 at the time. And he referred to her as a 17-year-old woman. And I know you had an opinion about that, referring to a 17-year-old as a woman is not a good look. Huh?
Well, it's not. I mean, no 17-year-old is a woman. They're still girls. But the news kind of took it and ran with it, because I did see some stories on the news where they referred to her as a 17-year-old woman, and I'm just like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't try to excuse his behavior by making people think that a 17-year-old is a woman, because when it's convenient, they want to say how well they're young, they don't know no better. And then when it's inconvenient, all of a sudden they're grown. And they should have known better than to go along with it. So no, she's not a 17-year-old woman. She's a 17-year-old girl that was that had a predator who's like, ain't he like pushing 40?
Yeah, he's 38.
Oh, there you go. A 38-year-old man, going after a 17-year-old girl. Yeah, not a good look.
Yeah, it's not. And aside from that, and if he took her across state lines, that's where the trafficking comes in. So they're trying to figure that all out. But he and his friend, another Politico in Florida, God, you gotta love Florida. They were going onto the sites where women advertised, or people advertised money for favors and goods, although for some reason it wasn't necessarily prostitution. It just walked that line of being legal. But the other part of this is that once you get more into the story, turns out that it seems like Gaetz and his friend actually turned into pimps because they would convince or paid, they would pimp these women out to their friends and tell them to have sex with other friends. And he was going around sharing these pictures of his underage, I don't even want to call them conquests, of his underage dalliances with people in Congress. It's just a really sick story. And the more that comes out about it, the creepier it gets.
Question.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
We understand that Matt Gaetz is a fucking asshole who needs to go somewhere and die. But who are these people that he showed these pictures to, though? That's who I want to know. Who are your people? Who are your people, Matt? Who looked at these pictures and thought, oh, this is fun. Oh my gosh, she's sexy. Oh, you got her too? Like, who these people? Give me some names. Give me some names.
Yeah.
Because you know one of them is Jim Jordan. You know one of them is Jim Jordan. You know that. Come on, give me some names. Give me some names. Stop being anonymous with this.
That's one of the things that people are asking, like, who are the people that you're showing this shit around to on the House floor? And then the other part of that is they had a point system. I mean, the more you read the story, the more you feel like you really need to go take a bath or a shower. And I'm with you. You need to put this mug up under the gel and just,
a
so
point
we will
system
see.
like they in high school or college.
Yeah, like you're not 40-year-old men who know fucking better.
It's a frat. It's a friggin' frat, and they've been treating it like a frat, and that's why are you getting me like this, Eddie? Because I be thinking to myself, like, what pisses me off the most is this proves the fact that Republicans are now being elected not to do a job, but just to have fun and get paid six figures to sit there and talk nonsense all day long. That is all the reason why they are elected, they run for office, and they go to Washington. And every single time that something else like this comes out, it just proves the point. It proves the point.
And it does prove a point, because that takes us to the next thing. The Republican Party is crickets on this. They are saying nothing. The whole, the whole party of family values. They're now categorizing a girl as a 17-year-old woman. They're not calling for any sort of resignation or anything like that. They're not saying anything. And whoever the head of the Republican minority caucus, Kevin McCarthy, initially he said he was not going to remove him from any of his posts or his commissions until he was convicted. But then he said after he caught backlash for that, he said, well, if it happens that he's indicted, then he would actually remove him from his post and his.
And when he is indicted, he's gonna move the goalpost again and be like, well, we'll wait to see exactly how the trial goes. And then if he's convicted, then they're going to move the post again. We'll wait until he goes to jail, and then he won't have the position anyway. Like, that's how it's going to go.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is the party of family values who they don't want to even want to take their kids to pizza parlors now, because, that's where all the child pornography and stuff is, going all the way back to the whole Hillary Clinton thing in a pizza parlor and all that kind of stuff. While they're too busy to talk about this, while they don't want to talk about this, they're too busy trying to embrace voting rights in other states. So as you know, Georgia ramped through a crazy ass voter suppression bill, which it does go back to Jim Crow. Like, people are saying, oh, you're being hyperbolic by comparing it to Jim Crow. No, it's bad. It's really bad. And a lot of people were focused on the fact that you can't give the people food and water. Like, it is a crime to give them food and water if they're waiting in long lines. But it goes deeper than that, where they can actually take over the voting commissions in counties that are not going the way that they think they should go. So, I mean, it's bad. And apparently, people knew it was coming, but they didn't know it was coming as fast as it did. It passed the Georgia House in one day, then it passed the Georgia Senate the same day, and then the governor signed it into law in front of a picture of a slave plantation. Yes, in 2021. Real. That is for real. So, and apparently the CEO of Delta had helped them write this bill. And he thought he was doing a good thing when he got the souls to the polls part taken out, because they were talking about that being a big deal. So Delta and Coke, they finally start speaking out about it. And as of yesterday, Major League Baseball pulled the All-Star game from Atlanta. And of course, now the Republicans are mad because that's cancel culture. So, and Hollywood is, people are now speaking out about whether or not Hollywood should stop filming in Georgia, because they call that the Hollywood of the South.
They need to give that up. Hollywood ain't going nowhere.
Well, your home state is trying to take that business away.
They need to give that up. Hollywood ain't moving from Georgia. They not like. You can say about how you gonna blackball and everything like that, but I feel like Hollywood that's in Georgia is too big to fail. So no, you ain't boycotting their movies. No, they're not moving their production, because it's the same thing as when what was the law about the bathrooms? And then they were putting pressure on Disney and all the other movie studios to move out of Georgia, and they didn't. They came out
of North Carolina.
Oh, is it North Carolina?
They did.
No,
they did
Georgia,
do some of their production.
Georgia was talking about they were talking about it, and the companies came out against it and everything like that, but they stuck through. They're not moving. They're gonna stay there because they're making boatloads of money, and they get all their tax breaks and everything else, all the benefits of being in Georgia. So they're gonna come out and say a good game. But at the end of the day, every single one of those big companies, Coca-Cola, Delta, Home Depot, which just a whole nother thing, they're all gonna stay where they're at. So yeah, I appreciate you coming out with a good word.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna move. Like Home Depot, Chick-fil-A, I don't expect anything from them. They're gonna do what they do, take on that whole Southern, But I think applying pressure, it might work. Do I really see Hollywood stopping some of their productions? Yeah, I see some people not wanting to go there to work. Mark Hamill,
small fries, not the big ones. Like one of the major studios is all of the Marvel movies are made in Georgia. Like they're not moving to another state. Like they're going to continue to make their movies in Georgia until it's no longer financially feasible for them to make their movies in Georgia. So we can put pressure, but at the end of the day, they ain't going nowhere. They're going to stay where the money is good.
So, well, what do you think our state, Texas, is next on the voter suppression bandwagon? Although we already have some very restrictive voting laws.
If it goes through, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, I wouldn't either. But now, I guess the businesses, they're jumping out ahead of it. AT&T, American, Southwest, Dell, Microsoft. They're already, putting pressure on the Texas legislature to not pass the law. But we'll see. Texas, they have no fucks to give when it comes to shit like that.
Well, I think Republicans have no fucks to give, and what they've proven is that at the end of the day, and this was proven from last summer as well, companies speak a good game. They talk a good game a lot, and they talk about how they're all about equality and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's about the bottom line. And if these states continue to be cheap enough in taxes for them to stay in these states, they're not moving. Like the the baseball all-stars, yeah, that's a game. How many teams do they have in the country? I appreciate it, and I love the fact that they did that. But at the end of the day, these companies that are stationed in these places, they're not leaving. You can put pressure, but if they go against it, because it's been proven in Georgia that he still passed that law and ain't none of them planning on leaving Georgia. If Texas passes this law, I don't see none of these big corporations packing up and leaving Texas. No, they're going to stay there behind in Texas. So I can see Texas still going through with it, even with pressure, because they're going to look at it and be like, y'all can talk to me all you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to stay behind right in Texas with these low taxes.
Well, see, and I get what you're saying. The Georgia law was passed before anyone, well, they knew it was coming, but I don't think anyone thought it was going to pass as soon as it did. So the company speaking out, that came after the fact, especially with Delta and Coca-Cola, and Delta basically thinking they did something by whatever they said before they stepped in. It was a lot worse, and then they got a lot of backlash for that. But, and I agree, someone else was talking about, they said, well, the companies are going to move, and I'm with you. It's not as easy to pick up and move a multi-billion-dollar corporation as you think it is. But the other thing is that, unfortunately, a lot of these companies give a lot of their money to GOP candidates because they know that they can be bought and get what they want, especially the tax break. So that's the thing that they're saying, is that will they stop giving money to the candidates? Will they stop supporting them? It comes to us. The bottom line is for us. If we put pressure on the companies, but we'll have to see if we get a national.
I'm a cynic, and I know you're an optimist, and I guess that's why we work so well, because I'm a cynic. And so with my cynicism, what I'm going to say to that is, publicly, these companies will say that they're no longer giving money to these candidates publicly. But I feel that they're going to find another way to make sure these candidates get the money that they need, because those low taxes is what they're going for. And the fact that they treat corporations like they're people too, they have feelings, that they can tell me that pressure is going to stop them from donating to these Republicans. But at the end of the day, like, is it really? Because they're still going strong. Republicans are still going strong after what happened in the summertime when all these companies said they were pulling their money. Republicans still going strong. So how they still got all this money? Where this money coming from? Yeah, I don't believe it. But it's a nice thought, though. It's a real nice thought, and I appreciate them coming out with some words. But I don't trust corporations to actually follow through in the end when things get tough. And so at the end of the day, Republicans going to continue to do their assholery moves because they continue to be protected by these corporations privately, if not publicly. That's my cynicism.
The optimist in me wants to say, gosh, you're wrong. Golly jeepers, you're wrong.
It wants to say.
It wants to say. But sometimes the realist and the cynic in me wins out, and I'm riding with you on that. It's like I'm to the point where actions speak louder than words, and it sounds good. You're talking a good game, but what's going to happen? And the bottom line is, you really need to do something about, because we really need to do something about this on a federal level, because this isn't about voter fraud. It's about voter turnout. And, the more people that turn out, you realize that more and more people are disagreeing with you and your party and your politics, and they're voting the other way. So that's all that's really about. We'll see what happens with that. But it's something to keep an eye on, definitely, and see how Hollywood responds to this. If they start moving their movies and their productions. I know some of them, especially the ones that have already been tapped to film, it's going to be hard to move those, but will they continue to bring newer productions there? And it would be a good thing for your state, your home state of New Jersey. People want to
go to New Jersey. You know how high New Jersey taxes is? Please, stop it.
The governor is giving tax breaks.
That is a lie. With New York so close, no matter how much tax breaks he gives, it will never be cheap enough to have production companies move to New Jersey. New Jersey is right below New York. Like, they looking at them like, do they forget where they're located? That's probably what they were saying in the room when they were talking about it.
Hey, you might have a good mob movie
they
you
were,
want to film in New Jersey.
They were laughing at Uncle Phil. They were like, yo, Uncle Phil, you cool. But nah, bro. Nah.
Yeah. So, and I don't know. This next one is something that this case, I don't know. We kind of talked about it, but speaking of Texas, the Houston Police Department has officially opened an investigation into Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. And the plethora, that is the SAT word for the day, plethora of cases against him for alleged sexual assault, sexual abuse, sexual misconduct. And this is one of those cases where I'm taking the wait and see route. I don't know. You can't believe that all 21 women are lying, and just some of the complaints I've read though have been sketchy. You want to believe the women. You don't want them to be lying because it makes it bad for other women. But one thing I am sick of hearing is, well, if they're telling the truth, why did it take so long for them to come forward? I'm sick of them putting that on women. We all deal with things differently. So
yeah, okay. So I will say that having conversations with people, like that is a lot of people's thought process, and I usually hear that a lot from women, right? Because you don't realize how you will react in a situation until you're in that situation. And I don't necessarily know Deshaun Watson because, I'm not a sports person really. So I don't follow football. I know he plays football though. I don't follow football. But what I do want to say is it is a difference between, it is even worse for a woman to come forward when it is a celebrity, someone who is well known compared to someone who's not well known. So if there are women out there who wouldn't even come forward when it's a no-name person, someone who they've just met in their everyday lives, why isn't it feasible to think that women who get into these situations with celebrities, with athletes, also wouldn't want to come forward because of this very reason? Because a lot of times people love them so much that they put them on a pedestal like they can do no wrong. And you question the victim before you question the actions of the person who did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. This is one just because of some of the complaints I read, especially when we're talking about the first one, the first woman who accused him. I'm like, what? It just from the sketchy ass lawyer to some of what she was saying. It's like, okay. And then as more and more cases start to come forward, I'm like, what the hell? Like I said, they all can't be lying. And I'm not a Texans fan or Deshaun Watson fan. It's just a lot out there. But that was the one thing in conversations I've had too. That's the one thing I hate is, well, if it really happened, why did they wait so long? And I'm like, you never know what you would do until you're in that situation. So stop saying if it happened, then why did they come forward sooner? And I'm with you. And especially when I can't remember which state it was, but this is just recently. Their Supreme Court in the state overturned a felony rape conviction because the woman willingly got drunk. So because she was drunk, it wasn't okay for this dude to do what he did to her, to sexually assault her. That was this court's ruling just this week. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, we can go back to, you remember the teenage boys, the athletes, the football players, and then you had the teenage girl who got drunk, teenage drinking, and then when they passed her photo around and everything like that's when people thought it was a little strange, like what's going on. But everybody kept coming out with, well, do we really want to destroy their lives over this one little incident? Yes. So they never again think that a woman, a girl who is drunk on a bed is open for your friends to run a train on. Yes.
But would their lives be destroyed, or would they go on to become a sitting judge on the fucking Supreme Court, or God forbid, President of the United States?
Eddie, I feel like there was a little bit of anger in your voice when you said that.
I mean, really? Did I channel my inner Tammy?
You did. I was like, ooh, I felt it coming towards me. It
drives me crazy. It pisses me off, and I'm going to say it again. Stop telling women what we should and should not do to be attacked, and stop telling men and start teaching men how not to be fucking predators and attackers.
Touche.
So that pisses me off. And staying with the Southern, since we love the South and we live in the South.
What?
This one I kept off the list because I just wanted to hear your reaction. This one takes us to the great state of Alabama, okay? Alabama has forbidden yoga. Hello? Do I need to repeat that?
I was waiting for the rest of the story.
That's it. Okay.
Why?
The rest of the story is you cannot, they do not allow yoga in their schools. Yeah, that's the story.
Oh, because of the yoga pants?
No, you would think when I said Alabama, because of the yoga pants or something like that. No, because they don't want them to learn long-term meditation and Hinduism. You would think it would have something to do with the clothing, but no.
Oh my God! What the fuck is wrong with the South?
I was like, I've never, in all the times I've taken yoga, no one has ever. I'm like, yeah, what the, yeah.
Yes, because taking yoga, I started to think, ooh, this feeling a little Hinduistic. So, I feel like I shouldn't come anymore because I feel like I'm going to be converted to follow Hindu, and that would just be wrong because I am a Christian and I am following the Bible to the T. Yes, I am.
The downward dog position is telling me all about Hindu.
That's another thing. When you said that, right, and I was waiting for the rest of the story, and I said the clothes, and you said no. Then I was thinking like, oh, is it because they're teaching them sex positions as well? Like what? Like I never would have thought religion. That would never have come into my mind that it was because of religion.
I said yoga, not Kama Sutra. And
you don't think some of the yoga moves make you a little bit more flexible than you normally would be?
I need to practice yoga more, but
Oh, okay. And the names, come on now. The downward
until Rona
dog.
is over, I have no reason to practice yoga.
The downward dog. Come on now.
The downward dog. Hey. Like when I read the story, I thought it was a joke. And then I thought, okay, since it's Alabama in the South, it's going to have something to do with maybe the clothing or the positions or the names of the positions. But no, because they don't want them learning meditation. I'm like, what the hell do you think praying is basically? Don't
you dare speak such blasphemy about praying. Like Christians are the only ones that pray, because they are.
Well, okay. My bad. Well,
nobody else prays but Christians. Let me stop. I'm going to hell. My bad.
Well, you can join Little Nas X and MSCHF on your way there. Maybe they'll have some room for you with them in their Satan shoes.
With blood on them. With blood
on them. Now here's the thing. This is so weird. So MSCHF design. That's the designer. Nike knew about the shoes. They knew what they were going to call them. It goes in with his video for Montero and all that kind of stuff. But I think what took it too far for Nike is when you had the actual drops of human blood on these shoes with the pentagram. That they were only making 666.
Oh, they put the devil symbol on it.
Yeah, because they're the Satan shoes.
Oh,
but that's not what got people. That's not what got people. What got people was the drop of blood.
It wasn't the Satan symbol?
Nah. Wasn't even the 666 pairs. All those relations or all those connections to Satan and all that, right? the Church of Satan was happy. They were big happy about it. They were
Well,
like,
it's
hey,
the Church of Satan,
can you cop us a pair? But so my thing was this. None of that even got me because, what got me was the price of these damn shoes. $1,018.
That sounds about right. How much was the Jesus shoes?
I'm not sure. They better cost. How much were the Jesus shoes?
Let's see. Research that real quick.
I am. I am inquiring.
No. While you're researching that, like I heard about these Satan shoes. I didn't really read up on it because I'm not a fan of Lil Nas X. I'll be honest and say I'm very what do you say when somebody is all about the looks? What's that called?
Shallow? Superficial.
I could be a little superficial sometimes, and Lil Nas X is just not cute enough for me to pay attention to. And so, but I heard about his Satan shoes. But here's the thing that I really like that he did, because when he saw this whole controversy, he went on Twitter and he posted a picture of Lucifer. You know the TV show?
Mm-hmm.
Lucifer. And he says, y'all coming after me because I named my shoes Satan shoes, but ain't none of y'all come after the fact that you literally have a show called Lucifer that's about the devil. And he was like, what's the difference?
And not only that, it's a good show and it's a hit show.
It's a hit show.
It's a hit show. Like Netflix they saved the show from Fox. Lucifer has been canceled so many times. It's like a cat.
And it keeps coming back.
And it keeps coming back. Okay, so segue back. The holy water, the Jesus shoes, they sold for $4,000, and they had holy water in them.
Oh well, holy water. Come on now. Now, granted, my thing is that Lil Nas X shouldn't be. He shouldn't be surprised about the reaction, because at the end of the day, Jesus shoes goes along with the idea that we have in this country of, Christianity and everything like that. Satan shoes is evil and it's bad. So of course they're going to react badly to the fact that he called his shoes Satan shoes and then he put blood on them. Very different from Hollywood.
Well, see, my reaction to this was, look, I could have gone and caught me a pair of Nike, spray painted them red and black and dropped my own blood on them and save me at least $900,
I'll be honest and say, look, if you don't want them, don't get them. I ain't buying shoes called Satan shoes. What I look like that is like me begging to be sent to hell. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But if somebody want to go and spend $2,000 on some Satan shoes, that's their money. Let them spend the money.
And girl, the shoes sold out in less than a minute. So
there you go.
Well, Nike, I don't know what it is, if they bowed to the pressure once people found out, that they had the drop of blood on them. But Nike got a restraining order. They went to court to stop the sale of the shoes, and a judge bringing it a temporary restraining order. So I don't know if those people are going to get their shoes or not. Someone better give me my shoes or my money. And then, so this all goes along.
But why the drop of blood?
I guess that's just a Satan thing. I don't know. People,
I'm like,
we have this.
Fine if you call them Satan shoes and design them that but why you got to put blood on them?
Well, the Jesus shoes had holy water. Lord, forgive me, please.
Okay. Now don't be comparing blood to holy. Holy water is a whole different thing. That's just bringing a bad omen onto yourself. Nah. But whoever bought them, more power to you. You go ahead and you spend that money. I mean, you could have passed me that money instead, because I need it. But yeah. Go ahead and buy those Satan shoes with blood on them.
Well, people were talking about, well, first of all, some people were like, well, the kids. And I'm like, well, first of all, if your kid comes to you and just asks you for $1,000 and you not asking them what the hell they need $1,000 for, that's on you. That is bad parenting on your part. Okay. Second of all, it all ties into his video, Montero, Call Me By Your Name, where he is basically giving the devil a lap dance. And, that's where people, also had a big problem, and that's where they really got upset, saying, well, the kids love you, and what are you doing with this? And he's like, it's not my responsibility to raise your kids. I'm not necessarily making music for your kids. And so that's what he was like. He's like, I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah, because shitty music is shitty music no matter who you make it for.
I'm not a big Lil Nas. How do I say this? I'm not a fan of his music. Although I do like the song Panini, I hate the song Old Town Road, even though it's like one of the most successful singles of all time. Big ups to him. I'm not mad at him. I hate the song. I hate the BTS remix version, Soul Town Road. I just cannot stand the song. It drives me crazy. I did like Panini. I watched Montero, and unlike you, I did watch it with the off of mute. And yeah, it's still not my thing, but more power to him. Shout out to him for being himself, true to who he is.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah,
I have a question. Do you think, okay, and this is not, I'm very open-minded, but I hate that because that makes it seem like I got a black friend. Oh, damn it. But do you think that part of his pop, because I'll be honest and say I like Panini as well. I liked Old Town Road. That's my jam. But everything else that he's put out has not, like, I'm just like, what the heck? Now, do you think that his popularity is still there partly because he's out and he came out as gay? So it's kind of like a thing, a shtick?
No, I think
because kids today love horrible music anyway. Because I don't think he has the musicality that I think he's fallen into the trap of mainstream. If that makes any sense, like it's not his, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's not his thing anymore. Like he's just going this way to like make money based on the fact that his name's already out there. So you can put out trash and you can put out garbage and it's still going to sell. So I'm like, rather than, sitting back and really putting something out worthwhile, he's not doing that. Or I am going to say, for my opinion, I don't feel that he's doing that, but that's just me. I don't know how other people feel, but because it ain't significant anymore. Like,
well, the critical I get. Don't get me wrong. Just because I don't like it, I understand what he was doing with the video. The whole being gay and devil thing, and how people think being gay is a sin, and he's dancing with the devil, and so I get the allegory of it.
Was that the message?
That's what I took from it, and just based on stuff that he said. And that was one of the things. It kind of goes back to what you said. Now, when he came out, and I think that's one of the reasons why I am a fan of his, but not necessarily his music, is because he did it on his own terms. Yeah, he came out at the height. He came out the height of Old Town Road. He wasn't about to be outed. It wasn't some scandal. His company told him not to do it. His managers told him not to do it. Everyone told him don't.
And he did it anyway.
And he did it anyway. So I applaud him for that. And so I think since then, he's just kind of been living life on his terms and trying to figure it out, especially as a black man, and a black man in the music business who's a country hip hop type of, I don't know, crossover genre thing. I don't know. But so I applaud that. And I applaud that he's still here making the music in the mainstream. And so I can applaud that. Like I said, the only song of his that I've ever really liked was Panini. So Montero, I get what he's trying to do with it. I applaud it. The critical masses have loved it. All the reviews that I've seen about it, they loved it. They think it's doing great things to move queer musicians into the spotlight.
No, it's not. But okay.
Hey, I'm just telling you what I've read on And so I got it. And they were also talking about how there's some controversy because they said it ripped off FKA Twigs' Cellophane video. Well, come to find out, they had the same video director or the same art director. So so some of the images were the same, and he actually did say, hey, her video was dope, and there are some, there might be some images that are reminiscent of that, but it wasn't necessarily intent on ripping her off, or, and she was like, she appreciated the nod to the similarities in the videos. And I guess if you're working with the same director then, or the same art director, then there might be some similarities to it. But yeah, so I know we had a conversation earlier this week, and it was one where
I'm not getting into it.
See, I was gonna say I felt like it was one, if we had been on the phone, you probably would have hung up on me per usual. But I know that you said you didn't want to get into it, so I won't bring it up because I don't want you to hang up on me now. But so, are you looking forward to see what else he has to put out? What else is coming from this album?
So I don't care for his music, so I don't care for his songs. So no. Like, I didn't even know he came out with something until the whole Satan shoe controversy came out. I was like, oh shoot, he came out with a new song? What? Oh, okay. But no, I'm not a fan of Lil Nas X. Like you, I like him, but his music, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be a fan of rappers these days. I don't know.
Because they're all trash?
Yeah, pretty much. There are a few that I like, and I might like a song here or a song there, something just like on the radio or something that I hear. But it's hard for me to go through and say I'm a fan. Like, I would want to go see them in concert, or I need to hear this all the time. But, Big Shot, I wish him continued success. I really do. And I hope that he continues to do his thing. And I get it. And I have to say, the branding was genius. The whole marketing ploy with the Satan shoes and all that, it was genius. It got people talking, and it also got a bunch of people mad. And of course, Republicans, them and their anti-cancel culture, they were tweeting him. And I'm like, y'all, everything you have going on in the world, in all these different states, y'all want to tweet at him over a video and some shoes. That's great. All right. And to clean this up, to round this out, I have some sad news, Tammy.
We're not gonna talk about Big Hit?
Yeah, we gonna get there. I
just to round this out like you was ending after the sad news.
Oh no, I have to start with the sad, and we're gonna end with the good. So are you holding your heart? Are you in a good place right now?
Because I know what you're about to bring up, you're gonna realize my reaction is not sad. But go ahead.
Look, Regé-Jean Page is not returning to Bridgerton.
Can I just say that he wasn't planning on really returning to Bridgerton anyway? Like, I mean, it's like this big story and everybody's so sad. And I'm just like, this is how you could tell that none of these people, like, they were all fans of him because he's a really, really good looking guy, rather than the whole story of how the series is gonna go, because they don't really show up in the season 2. When they were talking about him showing up in season 2, it was only because of the popularity of him as an actor, and his character, and they were trying to see how they can bring them back, him and Daphne back, into the show for season 2. But to be really honest, like, they were gonna come, like, maybe pop up like 2-3 times and then pop right back out, because they're no longer the significant characters in season 2 that they would be in season 1. So I'm actually okay with him not being there.
Look, I need you for once to just go along with the flow and go with the game. I need you to cry some tears of sadness, okay? I need you to be upset and feel the people's pain. Empathize with the people.
With the people that don't know how the storyline goes?
Because most people haven't read those books from the 12th century.
But come on, but we read the articles on where they said that the only reason why they were going to bring him back a couple times was because of the popularity of him. That's the only reason why. Like, I read the articles. Everybody read the articles. Now everybody's upset and they're like, oh my, and I'm like, it's not even season 2. It's not even about him. But I understand why, because we're losing a really, really good looking guy on the series, a really good looking hot guy. The hottest guy that was on the series out of all the other Bridgertons, he's like the hottest one out of all of them. I can definitely understand why people are sad, because now you have to look at Anthony and Benedict and Colin.
They're not bad looking.
Oh, Lord.
They're not
There goes
red.
your optimism again. They ain't him.
They definitely not him, but they not just, trash. They're not bottom feeders. I can look at them.
No, they're ordinary. They're ordinary, all-American looking guys.
Even though they're British.
All British guys? I don't know what they call
then that
their
means,
regular dudes.
That means that they would be like Prince William, who was voted sexiest bald-headed man alive.
Why you keep setting me up today? Oh my God. Better looking than The Rock, Jason Statham. Who else bald?
Stanley Tucci, LL Cool J.
J. Like, you mean to tell me? And the thing is, he ain't even fully bald. He's going bald. All right?
He needs to let it go. Like, dude, do you know how much he would age down if he would just get rid of that? I don't even know.
Don't tell him that.
Don't
tell him that. Nothing is going to make him look good. And then they're like, oh, well, he was really good looking when he was younger. Yes, he was. Not anymore. All that
he's not aging well at all.
Cheating and racism, like, that just killed his looks.
Yeah. So.
Sexiest dude, though. Yep, sexiest bald dude.
Sexiest bald head. Yeah. So All right. And BTS, our favorites, they were nominated for a Brit Award, which is kind of like the British version of the Grammys. So hopefully they'll do better with the Brits than they did with the Grammys.
We're on opposite sides, but yeah, I'm sure the Brits will do better because they got racism in their country just like we do.
I said hopefully. Look, I'm being realistic about that.
I say it's more likely they'd give it to them than we did, just because they got to find a way to deal with all of their immigrant population and everything that's going on in their country. That'd be a good way to look. Be like, look, the United States didn't give it to them, but we did. Boom.
Yeah, because they went all out on the BAFTAs, and then the Oscars followed. But then, then a couple weeks later, you got how the BAFTAs were just like glory noms too. So we'll see what happens. But yeah. I don't know if they're planning to perform on the Brits or whatever. But good luck to them. Shout out to
the BTS. Smart thing would have them perform at the Brit Awards. That would be the smart decision.
Yeah. And then their company, Hybe, which I'm still going to call Big Hit. I don't know, disrespect, but I think it's pronounced Hybe or Hybe. They are about to buy Justin Bieber's management company, which is owned by Scooter Braun for $1 billion. $1 billion.
Why would you say Justin Bieber's management company? Why would you?
Well, that was what the article was.
Like, they're about to buy Ariana Grande's management company.
Yeah, and I was going to get to that.
Demi Lovato.
Yeah, like they're all managed by Scooter Braun. So Ariana Grande.
They're managed by Scooter Braun's company, Ithaca Holdings.
Correct. And so now Army and Arianators might get that long-awaited collab. It might be a little easier to make that happen that they've been wanting between BTS and Ariana, more specifically JK and Ariana. We will see what happens.
It ain't their record company.
Huh?
It's not their record company.
No, but it might be easier when you have the same managers or whatever. I mean, hell, if I'm just saying from a business perspective, if I ran either record company, whoever is at, I don't know which record company Ariana's with, but I would make it happen because that's just going to make me some money, period, point blank. Anybody on my label.
They're planning on right now keeping their American company as well and their Korean company separate. Because they are trying to diversify from BTS and their music, their record label in South Korea. So that's not their goal. I mean,
no, I mean, I'm not talking about joining the companies. I'm just talking about have them do a duet or a collaboration.
But that's what I'm saying. They said that they want to. They're trying to keep it separate, so they're not looking into like, you know, all of that right now. Like, all they're trying to do is diversify from being so dependent on, you know, BTS. At least that's what they said.
I get it, but letting them collab with someone is not. Them collaborating wouldn't have anything with them being dependent on BTS. It's just a good money thing. It's good business. You have two of the hottest acts in the world doing a duet. It's a great song. We would hope. And that, ladies and gentlemen, does it for this episode of the Wine Down ReWine. Be sure to catch the daily Wine Down on the popcornwinedown.com. Plug, daily, published Sunday through Friday. And as usual, thank you for joining us. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.